thank you so much for letting me join from the East Coast here in New York City. I really have such a pleasure in being able to take a couple minutes to share about how the founding board has been able to move forward a few items in this time, these extraordinary times, and also an extraordinary time for Quinteto Latino, because this transition to a nonprofit status has been incredibly fruitful, incredibly thoughtful, and always grounded in how can we support this mission moving forward? How can we really disseminate impact in a really wonderful way? And so it's been really fantastic to get to know the other board members, to be able to really foster relationships and to support this really meaningful and urgent work. The board and the team at Quinteto Latino are working incredibly closely to expand our work in education and advocacy. And now that it's feeling safer to gather again, to expand our performances as well. And that's really the heart of what Quinteto Latino is all about. One of the reasons why I'm on the board of Quinteto Latino is because I think that there can sometimes be a fallacy that a smaller group can't make big impact. This is really long-term movement work to be able to uplift Latino voices, to be able to make space in our field for the next generation of Latino artists. And it's a real pleasure to be able to contribute, even in a small way, to the reality that we know Quinteto Latino will bring forth. So just really appreciative for this time this evening, and let's continue the wonderful show ahead. Thanks, everyone.
And thanks everybody for coming. And I was telling, why I said Tamara is because I was telling Tamara in the chat, I'm always feel so blessed and I'm so grateful that Quinteto Latino has so many supporters, and that the founding DNA of the organization, which was out of a lot of sadness and pain and hurt from being a classical musician, not sadness I still feel today, that something could be seeded and grow that brings support and love and joy and color to so many communities, and so I'm always grateful when we can come together. You know, Quinteto Latino's mission is to disrupt racial and economic disparities within classical music. I actually say that mission in our concerts. I said that mission in our concert that we did on Sunday in San Francisco, and people often clap. I think the reason is that they're surprised and they're happy to hear a classical music organization say that at the front of every concert, because it's why we do what we do, like everyone has said here. We played a concert yesterday for some students in Redwood City, an after-school program called Police Activities League. And afterwards, the kids, it was part of a residency project. So I'd spent about a month there visiting the kids, and the culmination event was a concert with the quintet. And one of them came up to me after, they said a lot of things, but one came up and said, that was the perfect concert. It was a perfect concert. And we talked about Latino composers, and we talked about representation, and we talked about the communities and that we're all from, like Leslie being from Hawaii, and my family having roots in Mexico. And so this equity and the lack of representation weaves in everything we do, from the formal concert on the concert stage at War Memorial Auditorium in San Francisco on Sunday, to an after-school program with an all-Latino student body in the Fair Oaks neighborhood of Redwood City. And we're talking about the same things and addressing the same issues in both of those places, and in all we do. And it happens in our communications, it happens within our development team, and we share how we center equity and community building and all we do with other nonprofits as well. So, and as we see a change in the field.
Hi. So I just wanted to say, I'm here because I met Quinteto Latino through work in schools. I mean, you guys have performed at hundreds of schools in Northern California, the Bay Area. And so that's how I got to know you. And I am still here because I'm a strong supporter. I was thinking about, remembering why you do what you do in the schools. And actually, I came across an interview that you did for CSMA. And you had said, what is the best part of performing at these assemblies for the kids?
Wow.
And you said, so I'm quoting you, Armando, playing diverse music for a diverse audience is the best part. We reflect the kids when we use Spanish, when we talk about the culture. They can see themselves on the stage. We also present the different cultures of each of the 5 performers. We want to model that behavior, that you can come from different backgrounds and still work together and honor your different cultures. And I love that because, the kids, it's a mixed, the kids are mixed at the schools, right? And what they're seeing, they all take away something from that. You do not have to be Latino to learn and love and appreciate everything that they're doing. And those kids are really impacted by that. And some of those kids are going to keep playing because of Quinteto Latino. And, so I'm a supporter and I love you guys.
When I first started playing with Quinteto Latino, I was just like hearing all the stories of like Llorona, the crying lady, and just so many cultural similarities, like in just the way that like I'm half Filipino and half Jewish, and like just the Filipino side, there were so many cultural like connections, and I was like, why is that? Well, there is a reason, because the Philippines were conquered by the Spanish through Mexico. And so there's like this really deep intersection between the cultures, and it always felt so aligned. When my grandmother was still living, from our first CD, we had played Estrellita, and she's like, oh, that's my favorite song, and she had loved this song so much. And so I don't find it that big of a leap to kind of embrace Latino culture, because it feels very close to home for me.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that resonates. It's just one thing that for the other, I'm not going to speak for the other musicians, but I speak for some of our audiences. And what I say is, when they come to a Quinteto Latino, they're part of a change in classical music. This is a new way of kind of playing. It's also a new way of interacting with audiences and building bridges with classical music with new audiences or communities that haven't traditionally interfaced with classical music. And I think that's a big part of the connection with Quinteto.
What I love about your music, and I loved the point that Leslie made about her mother liking Estrellita. Maybe it was her grandmother, I'm not sure, but my mother does too, and she told you. And I think that's the way, is reminding people of that visceral way in which they, felt it. And only Quinteto Latino does that. And the way that you do your music, all of you, it's just so incredibly beautiful. And I can't even tell you how thankful I am.
Thank you, Julia.